Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Welcome to your Sales and Leadership Ninja Show. I'm your head ninja, Dean Akers, and every week I bring you a rant to stimulate your thinking in the realm of sales and or leadership. Also, this ties to just in business, because today's show is how to ensure business success. This has more to do with the culmination of both of those, sales and leadership together, but hopefully today's thoughts will help each one of you if you are in business. The reason I'm sharing today's show is I'm working with a lot of businesses, a lot of our folks with our Nest Health Group, and it comes to bear that these facts will make a difference for their business, and I thought I'd share this today with each of you. It starts out with, as I share with so many of my friends, is many years ago I took pilot training, and when you take pilot training, they teach you how to fly under the hood or in instrument conditions. And the reason they do that is when you're flying and you get into conditions where you don't have the horizon to base your decisions on, you get what's called vertigo. And vertigo is where your mind gets tricked and confused and you make bad decisions or decisions that ultimately will kill you. And so when you're doing pilot training, they teach you to trust the instruments, trust the facts. So in businesses, I run into this all the time where they're flying in a fog. They're flying by their emotion. They're flying by what they think, the economy, competition, and on and on and on. And in every case, not most case, in every case, when I hear all this rhetoric, when we go back with what I'm going to share with you now, we find out that A, they're flying in a fog and they're going to crash and their success is marginally assured at best. So the things that we want to find out first is the who, what, when, and why of our customers. You want to know who they are, what they are, when they buy, and why they buy. And that's an important thing to understand when you're looking at your company or your business, is to know who your customers are. So many times I go into companies and they say my customers are this people and they come from here and this and that. And when we do the actual analysis, I'd say 99% of the time they're wrong. They're wrong enough that it makes a big difference. And then once you determine who your customer looks like, and if you're a location-based company or whatever, you want to take and use demographic software to look at where they are. So if I'm a site with a destination, I know people are generally not going to drive more than 10 to 20 minutes max to a site unless you're so unique, like a Disney World or something like that, where you're a destination site. But most businesses aren't that way. So I like to always, after I know the who, what, when, where, and why, I want to find the demographics of where I could be located. And I use a program called SiteWise. It gives me an overview where I can put in drive times of an address, and it shows me the map, and then shows me the household information, ages, gender, just a lot of data that allows me to make a good decision. And then it also shows me, and this is what's always amazing when I do it with friends of mine, it shows me that right in the proximity of where they are, there's generally more business than they could ever dream of, and could have more business and grow their company within 10 minutes of their location that they just never thought about. So demographics are critical. Then how do you reach them? That's what everybody talks about, marketing. And you want to, once you know who they are, you want to get people that can tell you where they hang out. They might actually watch TV. So you might be wanting to be on the evening news or on a cable channel. Depends on what it is. If you're selling bikes and you find out your particular demographic is always on bike shows, watching bike shows on cable, you're going to want to do advertise or be on those cable channels. And with those things nowadays, they can actually geo those down to really small areas in a cable region for your ads. Social media, that's probably one of the funniest ones I watch people. They go, well, I have a social media site. I go to their site, they have like 50 followers, 100 followers, 200 followers. They're posting, but when they're posting, their post is only going to their follower group at a very small portion of those. So when you have social media, you have to spend the money to go ahead and have targeted posts where you can zero in on age demographics, radiuses, all the nomenclature we've been talking about to target your customer. Now you're in the potential customers' news feeds. And then lastly, and probably one of the most important things, is to build out an assumption model. And this is where I use Excel, and I put every assumption. How many could I sell? What price? Put it by line item unless there's 1,000 SKUs. And if there are, average it. And then I put services and all the different things in there. And when I get it done, I then build the side of my income statement that's driven by those assumptions of price, numbers, rent, all that. And it's amazing when you put all the assumptions in and you find out it's what the business is. It's generally not very close to what you want it to be. So then you play with the assumptions. You say, what if I spent $2,000 versus $100 a month in marketing and my acquisition was $10? So it brought this many more people in and only 50% bought at this rate, ... And all of a sudden you take a business that's marginal and now you're making $500,000, $1 million bucks a year, or 5 million or 10 million or 100 million. Assumption models, critical, and they should always foot to a financial statement. They're always eye-opening. So a quick review. You want to know what your customer looks like, where they are and how many. Do that demographic review. Then take that demographic review and put it into a program that shows you kind of like a fish plotter where they right now are. Then create the marketing strategy to shoot them between the eyes. Years ago, you just had to broad-based marketing. Today, with the different mediums out there, you can reach your customers directly in their faces all the time. And then you want to build out a financial model. Critical to build out the financial assumption model. That way you can play with the what ifs. What if I increase my ad spend? What if I add a person? This is amazing. I did one recently where we added 2 more people, which allowed us to bring more in because we raised our marketing dollars, and suddenly the owner was making $500,000 versus struggling to break even. So you want to build that financial assumption model. So with all these strategies come together, you'll create financial success. Now that you've done this, you can look in the mirror and say, job done. I can promise you, you'll have a business with a great deal of success. You've just taken the risk out. So again, thanks for tuning in each week. And remember to share if this really helps you. Share it with your friends, your fellow business people. And then my book, Self-Talk, Think Like a Child, that's available on Amazon. I personally, obviously I wrote it, think it's a great read for our business folks and our sales folks that are struggling with self-talk, where they start telling themselves things that just aren't true. But this gives some great examples and techniques to get out of that kind of tailspin of self-talk. And it's available on Amazon and all the basic book networks. And then if you ever have a question or you want an example of the financial model we've talked about, or a demographic review to see what it looks like, just reach out to me at help@adjunctco.com. I'll be happy to send that back out to you. And I'm always glad to help any of you that listen to the show. It means so much to me to be able to bring this to you every week. And again, I'm only bringing you stuff that I've seen that works, techniques to help your success, and more power to you to be the person you really want to be and have the business you really want to have. So again, I'm your head coach or head ninja, Dean Akers, and thank you for tuning in this week for the Sales and Leadership Show. And I will see you next week. Be safe, be successful, and go out and ensure your business success.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanakers.com. Also, visit us at www.deanakers.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.